Are you all caught up on podcasts? Are you tired of listening to the same music over and over and need some fresh new tracks? Well, look no further. Gnome here, and I'm teaming up with the Hater, the Tailgater, the Tirade, and Zuck's favorite prisoner. That's right, Jake from the Bleach Bros Podcast. We are bringing you the Hateful Gnomes Music Hut, a bi-weekly mini podcast all about music. We are covering music recommendations, bands, personal stories, concerts, even why Jake listens to the Beebs. Make sure you are following both the Bleach Bros and the Dads on Dayquil for updates. Episodes are alternating on both feeds. Raise the curtain, hit the lights, turn the dials to 11, horns up. We are live, baby.
What's up? This is Jordan Robinson. You're listening to the Bleach Brothers Podcast. Be sure to pay attention to B words of wisdom and whatever it is that fumbles out of Jake's lips.
Welcome into the Bleach Brothers Podcast. This is B-Word, and as usual, I am here with my good buddy Jake.
Good buddies.
Yeah.
Good buddies. Best friends.
We're the two best friends
BFFs.
that anybody could have, but then we've got three best friends that anybody could have, because we've got Bleach Bro Mitch here, bro.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
So, you know, we're grabbing titty, bleaching shitty, and talking comic book city.
Not everything needs to rhyme, B-word. That is
I kind of
terrible.
think it should.
It's like when you do impersonations. I was also laughing because I was re-listening to our last episode with dads, and every one of your animal sex noises
They all sounded the
started
same.
out with,
Yeah, they all sounded the same. It was
what's a capybara? What's a koala?
Exactly. No, my impressions are terrible. I was not hired to be an impressionist. I do not consider myself to be a comedian that has any sort of sweat in the game that I can do that. So yeah, we're going to stay away from my impressions. However, if you two want to make impressions, that's perfectly fine. But before we get too far into the show, Mitch, you have started a podcast. You are a part of the Bleach Bros network of podcasts. Talk with me real quick about you and your buddy, your buddy old Bobby. Tell us a little bit about Two Guys in a Dart, my man.
Yeah, it's I think in our last episode I talked a little bit about it when we were talking about actually the two of you, man. When I first came onto your show and got into that, it gave me the confidence and the courage, and I talked to Bobby, and we're 9 episodes into this thing, and it's a fun ride. We talk about pop culture, we talk about life in general. Just a wide variety of topics. We've done some serious conversations. It's just a fun time to have. It's fun to sit down and, talk with your friend about stuff. And, I guess people enjoy it because we got some listeners out there.
How close? So me and B-Word are best buddies, as we've said. All three of us are Bleach Bros, as we know. How close are you and Bobby?
I guess it's kind of one of those questions where like I'll get too emotional about it, but Bobby and I are in a specific line of work, and for a few years there, we were the only two dudes doing that kind of work in our place of work, and so a lot of the times I depended on him to go home safe, and he depended on me. So we're close in that sense, and we just kind of developed this friendship, this brothership, through that, and then growing and getting to learn about his family and all that stuff. So he'll tell you it's just because we both like the same stuff, but we got some funny stories and things like that. So we're close, but I don't think we're Bleach Bros close.
Yeah, I was going to ask, have you seen his penis?
No, not at all.
See, no, not as close.
I mean,
not until you see somebody's dick.
Yeah, we have witnessed each other's pecker. There's no way.
I've seen B-Word. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of dicks in here. I've looked at my own dick in the mirror. I've looked at B-Word's dick in the mirror too.
Yeah,
I did that glance in the bathroom.
Oh yeah. We have taken a shower together, so that's
right.
Just,
all
just
three of us at the same time have taken a shower.
That's all you and Bobby need to do. You just need to take a shower together. You'll be as bonded. You'll be then the intro could be my best buddy as well.
Yeah. It'll be Two Guys in the Mist. We'll have to change your podcast name.
There it is. I'll let him know.
Dicks out her Harambe.
So no, you guys are doing some good stuff over there. I think it'll be really interesting. I mean, this is episode 102 or something like that for us. It'll be interesting when you guys actually start to get up there in the double-digit episodes and close to that century mark, because some of those first episodes you're going to reflect on and go, "Oh, what are we doing?" Right? But I've listened to all of you guys' episodes. You guys are progressively growing. You guys are doing some good stuff, and not to say that we're the experts at podcasting, but when you're at the place where you're at now, it's super exciting, man, because you guys are trying some things, you're experimenting with some things, and once you find it and that clicks, you guys are going to do some things. So we're happy to have
see
you.
Each other's dick.
Exactly.
That's experimentation.
Exactly. And we're happy to have you as a part of the network, man. The network's growing. We've got Bleach Bros, we've got the Hateful Gnome, we've got Two Guys in a Dart, and we've got Unfiltered Discussions. So we're doing some things. We're having a great time. I'm happy to have you again on this podcast, but also happy to have you as a part of the network, and you guys are doing some stuff. So we'll plug that again at the end, just because that's how a show goes. But for now, man, like we've got some stuff to talk about. Like we had this episode planned out now for several weeks. Jay came to me and he says, "Hey, with Guardians of the Galaxy coming out, we really need to revisit some of these conversations." And I instantly said, "Absolutely." But little did we know that we'd have some news coming out on Jonathan Majors, old Kang himself. So I'm going to pose a question to each of you. Mitch, I'll start with you. Does Marvel have a Majors problem on their hands?
Probably not. I think when you're dealing with these situations, and first I got to say this, my problem with situations like this, especially with celebrities, is that I don't care, and I mean that in a sense like. When my neighbor gets into an argument and it gets physical with his girlfriend or spouse or something, it doesn't matter. And so it shouldn't matter with these celebrities either. Like, we shouldn't turn this into this giant news story and condemn this person before we really know any of the facts, before anything's really come to light, or, because then it just goes to kind of show in that cancel culture, like, oh, we're going to label him all these things, but we don't know the situation yet. But no, I don't think we would need to recast Kang just yet. But then obviously if we do, we just, do some sort of time shift, and oh good, it's Michael B. Jordan now is Kang, I guess.
Right? Yeah, honestly, Michael B. Jordan was one of the first ones that I was thinking about, and I was like, well, can we do it? Can we not do it? I mean, there were some questions there. Jake, how about you, man?
No.
You don't think there's an issue here?
No, and it's threefold. One, just regular thought. Disney's so big. When the actual lawsuit stuff comes out, we'll find some realism, some discrepancies, some slander, some whatnot. Like, it's a star. How far did he go? Also, they just proved it with Renovations. I guess Disney needs a Renovation, that new show with Jeremy Renner when he had his bullshit, right?
Yeah.
That they can get through this. The Flash is showing that with Ezra's bullshit, as Mitch was saying, he can move past that. And we've talked about that before on the show. I can look past the celebrity aspect of the realism and just look at the art. The second part is the caveat, which I said is, it's funny. The biggest problem I have with Marvel right now is probably their biggest saving grace. They have so many variants and stuff. It's easy for them to write this in and just go, well, now that Kang's dead, and here's the variant of Kang that actually made it through. And you can do that. The conspiracy theory side of me is that
you said
side
of
of me.
Side of you. Okay, all
right. Is that he's a method actor and he's showing a different variation of his side. And this is why he went full bore bullshit mode in the world, and he took it outside the studio. But no, in all reality, they don't have a problem because they can recast somebody. The problem I have is with Disney. I have a major problem with Disney, in the sense of, how come we can recast during this stuff, but you can't recast after a death, right? Like, we can recast Harrison Ford, but we didn't recast Black Panther. Those things piss me off. Like, why? Like, I don't understand the level of where they're standing on, of going, this person's able to be recasted and this one's not.
Right.
So that's my biggest issue. But is this still going to be fine? Yeah. Because the other thing is,
we haven't got so far into Kang's story that we're so in depth. I us as fans, we like it, but we also know there's variations of Kang, so it's easy. It's an easier character to recast than like Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
But imagine, so let's do a scenario here, guys. Let's say Thanos, after Infinity War had this and they didn't film Endgame yet, right? And they had to recast. Like, would you feel the same way? Like, do you think they have a major problem then? Because I think the character is also another point that can change the game. And I think Kang is an easily changeable character in the Marvel world.
Let me take this. And the reason why I'm going to take this is because the Thanos that showed up at the end of the Avengers in the post-credit scene was not the same actor as the Thanos that showed up in Infinity War and Endgame. So that being the case, I think that Thanos being CGI almost entirely is so much easier to recast. However, I will also join you guys and say that I don't think that Jonathan Majors has warranted a recast at this point. But let me propose something a little bit different to you, because Jake, I agree with you wholeheartedly. We've talked about this multiple times, both on and off the podcast. I was absolutely for T'Challa being recast. Now, what if Jonathan Majors was recast as T'Challa prior to him being Kang? I think that potentially that could have worked based on his acting methods, based off of his look, all of that sort of stuff. However, I'm really not the rush to react kind of like we have to scrap an actor just because kind of thing. I think you're looking at, speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, you're looking at the director. What's his name? James Gunn. James Gunn was fired from Disney for tweets that he had made that were drug up, that were deemed to be inappropriate in the spirit of cancel culture. He's now back with his final film at Marvel and now taking over a studio with DC. I look at Charlie Sheen. I look at Johnny Depp. I look at other actors who have had second, third, fourth, fifth chances. I don't think that Jonathan Majors needs to be thrown away. But the reason why this is brought up to me, and Mitch, I want to throw this back over to you, and of course you can answer the question a little bit more. But the reason why that we're kind of bringing this up is because he has been dropped by some of his representation from the rumor mill. He's also been dropped from at least 2 films that we're aware of. So I just kind of want to throw this back over to you, Mitch. What's your final thought on Jonathan Majors here?
So I want to touch on something you said just a minute ago first. If you're talking about second and third chance actors getting a shot again and that kind of thing and getting out of that cancel culture, Downey Jr., who created the Marvel universe essentially with us, he was a last chance actor too. So I'm on Major's team here. But as far as him being dropped from his people, I think that does him that benefits him, because now he's seeing who's really in his corner when things go bad, and he's getting out of deals that may have done him wrong later on down the road. So now if Marvel and Disney stand behind him and they keep him up and they're going to move him along as Kang, and he has other opportunities to act, then he's not beholden to people who aren't necessarily there for him. They're not on his team. And so I view it as a good thing for him.
I think it'll ultimately work out however it's going to work out. I really don't think that the precedent is there to recast him at the moment, specifically with what you see what's going on with The Flash. I mean, I think Ezra Miller was already put in jail, right? Mm-hmm. So there's that. Ezra Miller already has pending charges against him, and some of those seem to be more in depth than what we're seeing with Jonathan Majors. I also want to be clear here. I don't think that any of us are proponents of domestic violence or trying to cancel anybody's stuff on that. But Jake, final word to you in regard to the Jonathan Majors situation. Any other final thoughts there?
No, I always wait for the true American way. Let's see what the jury says and what actually comes out. I always think the storm is always pretty heavy right out the gate. People are quick to jump and do that. I mean, when we see the headline that he was let go from 2 pitchers, that might also be that he can't, like, behind the scenes, they might have worked that he's going to be scheduled with courts and stuff, and he's not going to be able to make the filming times. Agency's dropping him. That's just a PR move. We've seen that. that happens. I mean, like let's look at Tiger Woods, for example. How many people dropped him and then picked him right back up now where he's at?
Right.
Like I don't agree with, if Jonathan Majors did what he said he did. Yeah, I'm not a big proponent of that at all. And I hope he's gone. But I also don't like to chastise somebody right out the gate. I think the Ezra Miller thing's different because it was filmed. I mean, you could see it. He went a little crazy out the gate. I would have gave him the benefit of the doubt, but he kept doing, the other problem was he kept doing the same problem.
Yeah.
And if Jonathan Majors, gets away with this or has nothing wrong or however this turns out and then does it again, I'll be like, what the fuck, dude? Right.
Yeah.
But that's where I stand. I mean, I'm more like, I think he's an amazing actor. I love the projects he's in. I hope that he didn't do it for not just his sake, but the victim's sake or whatever. But I also, I believe in the justice system and something will come out of it.
I agree with that. I think that that's a really good button up on that. The other thing is too that, and we don't have to get into this tonight because this can open up an entirely new can of worms, but it does go back to when you're building a film universe and you're trying to keep actors for that long, you are setting yourself up for different things that can come up, such as this, or like the death of Chadwick Boseman or different things like that. So next topic we were going to talk about here, dude, there were some trailers that came out recently. So we've got 4 trailers. We'll attack them one by one. We've got the Marvels, we've got Secret Invasion, the Penguin, and Ahsoka. So Mitch, which one are you picking first, and give me a reaction?
Let me start with the one that I'm least probably excited for, and that is Secret Invasion. And here's why. If I'm looking at what we did just prior to this, especially with Winter Soldier, Falcon Winter Soldier, I think a lot of the hype in the trailer, it looks a lot like that entire series. We've got Emilia Clarke coming into the Marvel Universe finally. I think she's going to be a wasted character, at least initially. They're going to have a lot of, all of these hour-long episodes week by week that are going to lead up and try to build these characters. And all of this stuff, like with Rhodey in the trailer, and all of these different things that are supposed to culminate into this wonderful thing, could have probably been done in one episode. But we have to have all this filler, just, the scrolls are bad, and this guy's doing this, and it's just going to feel long and drawn out. I feel like Secret Invasion is going to be kind of a letdown as far as a series, but its payoff into what it leads into is going to be worth it,
Yeah, but I mean, in that point, Mitch, one, I think it would have been a better 2-part film. But I also feel maybe only one because we've had the scrolls enough. I mean, it feels like one of those things that Marvel wants to dip their toe into, and every time they do, they're like, it's not warm enough yet, or are people ready for this, or does it really matter? But 2, do you really feel that where do you go with this story? Is this just essentially like another big fluff piece to get us to the next, area of Marvel that we're going to? Because my biggest problem I've had with a lot of the shows lately is I love the Netflix shows when they were separate because it felt like its own sort of world and it was doing a good job. Mind you could connect them and there was world building. But to me now it feels like I have to watch 8 episodes to know what's going to go on in the next movie. And those 8 episodes are essentially a filler film. And that's the problem I think they're having right now. So, I mean, do you feel the same way or what do you think?
Yeah, that's exactly where I'm at with it. Is I have to sit through Secret Invasion to get to the point of what the Marvels is going to be. But before I sit through Secret Invasion, I'll get Guardians 3. Then Secret Invasion we have to sit through. Then it'll connect to Marvels finally. And I'll finally figure out when that happens what that scene at the last episode of Ms. Marvel was last year. Like it's all very connected, but it's so long and drawn out in the production that we're just sitting around waiting for these payoffs, and I don't think it's necessary. Like, we were good with films, 2-3 films a year, and we were keeping up with it. I love that they connect, but I don't think they need to interweave at this point this much. That's my problem too.
See, and that's the same problem that I have with the DC television universe, is that I don't know where to start. And assuming that I do pick up, let's say, Flash, Like, at what point do I start picking up Green Arrow? At what points do I start picking up Supergirl? At what point do those crossovers start to make sense? Like, I'm so lost in that timeline now that I don't know that I could even pick it up.
Yeah, but B-Word, do you feel that people are sort of at that, like, Marvel and DC, for that matter, are having a harder time picking up new fans? Because it's like, I show my wife that there's 20 films, and she's like, well, where do I fucking start and go? And now that you have all these series, it's like, I had my daughter the other day when I was talking to her, just, even just Star Wars shit. She's like, I don't even want to get involved. And I'm like, why? She goes, because this has happened and that's happened, and I don't even know this character anymore. And I'm just like, okay. And I can see that. And I feel that, like we were saying, these are fillers. Like, how do people even get started into the Marvel universe now?
So I can give you kind of this. I have an answer for you on that part. Star Wars actually does it best, but it's because they did it in the 70s. The starting point for anybody getting into Star Wars is A New Hope. It's 4, 5, 6.
I would agree with that.
It's 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and then from there, because if you really pay attention in the Star Wars universe, everything is set to either before or after the Skywalker saga, or somewhere in between. It's like the center point, and you can figure out where you are in any Star Wars timeline by figuring out where this event takes place from A New Hope. Are we after it? Are we before it? Are we in between this and that? So you get this kind of this guiding point. That's where both Marvel and DC fail, because one, it's just this continuity thing, right? So the MCU's been rocking since 2008, and there's so many projects behind it. The DC universe has been rocking, but it's reset so many times you don't know where you are. To answer your question about the TV series, you're talking about the Arrowverse on the CW. For you to pick up the Flash, you need to get into a first few seasons of the Arrow, because that's when the Flash picks up in that universe. And then forward a few more seasons for Supergirl to kick in, and then there's a Superman and Lois show now that parries off of the Supergirl show, and they all interconnect. So you have to be in love with one of them to even want to look at any of the others, and so it is this very mixed bag. And then I think my problem with the DC TV stuff so much is that they get you hyped up for these characters in these shows, and then they are just the cringiest letdowns, and you don't even want to look at it anymore. We can't have a great Batman show, but we're going to talk about Batwoman for however many seasons. It's enough.
I agree. And bringing up the DC, I think, is a really good starting point to continue that conversation as far as with Marvel, because Marvel is getting pretty convoluted, and the amount of properties that are out there, I mean, we've talked about this before, is just astronomical. So I too am not all that interested. I mean, I'll watch it, but I'm not all that interested in Secret Invasion. I just really wish that it was a movie. I do think that there's going to be some payoffs in it that it'll be important for you to watch. Jake, as far as, in the list of trailers that we talked about with the Marvel, Secret Invasion, the Penguin, Ahsoka, where would you rank Secret Invasion on that?
Number 3. So, and I mean, like, third. So it'd be like, 1, 2, 3. It'd be number 3. 4 for me would be Marvels. I'm just not excited for it. I didn't really like Captain Marvel the movie. I didn't really like Miss Marvel the show. I am not really. It feels like Freaky Friday in comic book world, and it really bothers me. It like when they're showing the trailer, like, it looks interesting and it's going to have great graphics and probably a cool storyline. But to be honest, it feels like a story that's already been done. All they did was do it on a cosmic scale. And I don't like stuff like that. It's like when I've talked about music, right? Like when a band covers a song, I don't want it to sound the same as the original band that did it. I want it to be something totally fucking different. And to me, this doesn't feel like a totally original fucking idea. It feels like they took the movie Freaky Friday and went, okay, let's just put all 3 of these women together with powers and just make them like end up in different places. And it also feels like the cop out where Marvel's going to try to pay off more jokes than anything. You watch the trailer and they try to give you some hard landing jokes, like the cat going crazy and stuff, and most of it just does not land with me. And so that's why that's number 4. Secret Invasion is barely above, and the biggest problem with that is Secret Invasion to me feels like the Manny Pacquiao fight that I always talked about 5 years too late. Like it's a payoff just to get rid of Nick Fury, and just like we got the Black Widow film just to appease us because we were saying we needed it for so fucking long, just like we got Hawkeye the show 5 years too late after they should have gave him a fucking movie probably. Like we're giving Nick Fury a fucking series just to like, one, get like you can move on from him, then you got to close out the chapter, right? But two, it's to appease us to finally have that moment. Like they've teased the scrolls, they've teased Fury so fucking much. Like, do we really need this? No. Are they going to do it? Yeah. Are they going to get a payoff? Yeah. Is it going to connect somewhere? Yeah. But yeah, I'd rank it 3. Like I said, I've already just dove into my next one, so I'll ask you guys, what do you think of the Marvels trailer?
I'm kind of with you on that one. So I'm 50-50 because I actually do like Captain Marvel as a movie. I thought it was pretty fun. I like her as a character. The Flurkin is fun for me. And I did like Ms. Marvel as a show, but I like certain aspects of it. And I think, Brian, you and I talked about that before, where it's one of those cultural things where, like, you can get into it if you're not from that culture, and then it also gives everyone from that culture something to look at, too. And I enjoyed it, but it's not my favorite thing, right? But I'm along the same lines as you with the trailer. I feel like there's a lot of emphasis on Kamala Khan in that trailer, and Carol Danvers almost seems like a throwaway character in this movie, which is not good for me. And then I don't know what we're doing with Monica Rambeau anymore. I'm really not interested in that character. She brings no weight to any table for me, any team, anything. She just seems like this lost character that just keeps showing up in all these different things. I'm not really interested in her. I'm more interested in a team up between Carol and Kumala, because I think that dynamic alone is more of that like sidekick type thing, and I find that more fun. So, but I'm worried too because you just see so much of like Kumala's family and all of those characters and stuff in this trailer, and you're kind of like trying to figure out what this movie's gonna be, and I'm just not excited for it too much.
Well, and for people who didn't watch the Miss Marvel television series, there's probably a lot of confusion as to who these people are, which goes back to, all of these different series and whatnot. But I don't know. I think Freaky Friday was a really good example, Jake, that you gave, because I do have a lot of questions. Like when Photon was going through her stuff, even if she's being called Photon or not, Monica Rambeau, when she got her powers, when she was using her powers in WandaVision, why wasn't she switching or swapping with either of those two at that time? When Kamala Khan was using her stuff or her powers during her series, why wasn't anybody swapping at that time? I guess that there's a lot of questions. I know that they're trying to tie it, at least it looks like, with Shang-Chi, with the bangles and the 10 rings and all that sort of stuff. And look, I'm down for it as far as the storyline goes. These are characters that I like. I just don't know how confident I am in this storyline, going forward. So, yeah, I would say that as far as the excitement scale, I would probably go with, Secret Invasion number 4 and the Marvels number 3 for me. So I think we're pretty fair there. Not to beat a dead horse here, let's just kind of move on to let's switch it up. Let's go with the Penguin. Mitch, what's your thoughts on the Penguin?
I'm excited for the Penguin. I'm seeing a lot of great actors coming out in this trailer. And I don't know, man. Since everybody who plays Penguin really has always been really great at it. Burgess Meredith, Danny DeVito, Colin Farrell, he is great in this role. I think it's a fresh take on a character that nobody usually cares about, and it's just gonna be fun because it's that crime lord stuff, and he says it in the trailer. It's almost like it's a line where it breaks down what his motive is, man. He just wants to be immortal or immortalized, right? He's what a feeling it would be when they say your name after you're gone, right? Like after I'm dead, they're still talking about me. I'm the Penguin, So
Right.
I think we're gonna see. I'm a huge fan of the Battinson movie. I think it was great, and the way that they're gonna develop that world with these series, I really am excited for it. and I'm gonna guarantee you we're gonna see Pattinson's Batman in this series, or at least his Wayne. And I think this rise to power, this cobblepot mob boss look at this character is going to be much more entertaining than any super villain wearing a top hat, right?
Oh, I totally agree with you. I am stoked for the Penguin. Again, going back to that ranking of the different trailers, this one's my number one. The Penguin, the reason why I'm so excited for the Penguin right now is because not only do you get to continue the storyline of the Robert Pattinson Batman film, but you get to find out more about the world that you probably wouldn't in the Batman itself, in the film itself. For this one excites me a lot because it does look street crime level. Now, granted, most of Batman's rogue gallery is street crime level, but this one seems like it's the front lines of the street crime, the rise of Cobblepot, the rise of the Penguin, and I think that it's a great thing when you start looking at the surrounding community of the Penguin. The flood is still there from the end of the Batman film. I think that they're going to continue on that. I think that there's some really, really good Easter eggs that are going to come along the way. Jake, I know you weren't the biggest fan of Robert Pattinson, of Glitter Vamp as Batman. I don't think you think he did a bad job of it, but you thought he was going to do a better job.
I thought he was going to be the best Batman ever. I said it on this show. He was going to be the greatest Batman that ever fucking lived, and I was wrong. Here's the thing. I want it to be my number one, but it's not. And the reason is because, B-word, I'm trying to finally live by what you tell me to do, calm down and level my expectations. Because as we know on this show, every time I'm fucking excited for something, I'm pissed off when I leave the theater. And every time I think it's going to suck, I walk out going, yeah, it was pretty good. I'm never fucking happy. And so for me, I honestly think out of everything, this is going to be the best show or movie, whatever. It's going to be the best out of the four. But it's my number two because I'm trying to level my expectations. And because for HBO, this is a dream. Okay, you get The Sopranos mixed with a comic book world. And so you get to see what DC is doing, what I think Marvel wanted to attempt to do at first when they were coming out, and make these characters seem really grounded and real world like. And they have strayed from that. I think that's why we're starting to see problems. And DC is going full bore, like with this universe being like, let's just make him as gritty as fuck and make him real. And like, just make like, what would the Penguin actually be like if it was a guy going for power instead of some weird, as Mitch was saying, guy in a top hat just sitting down and going, man, here I am, Batman, come get me, right, with a Tommy gun. Like, we're going to get a real fucking character, a great portrayal. I think that the other nice thing is, since HBO is doing it, the budget's going to be so fucking huge that you can afford to have Pattinson in there. You can afford, like the rumors, Clayface is probably going to be in Batman too. You might have some Easter eggs that they are going to connect these in a smart way. And so with that, the trailer's amazing and it showcases it, but everybody can make a great trailer, right?
It's true.
And that has been proven time and time again. And one, I think the biggest disappointment we're going to have is when we find out this season is only going to be 7 episodes.
Yeah.
Like it's or something like that. Yeah. I'm waiting for that to drop to be like, oh, there's only 6 episodes. We're gonna like, what the fuck? And then it's gonna take 2 years for season 2 and whatever.
But in all fairness, and the reason why I say this is because HBO's come out with some really good fucking television lately. You talk about The Last of Us, you talk about Game of Thrones, the new one. I think that they've done a really, really good job, not only, like you said, putting some money behind their product, but also making sure that you don't have that season 8 of Game of Thrones issue where you're trying to rush the story because you don't have something to base it on. I do think that even if it is a 7-episode Penguin, I get it. I would hate to wait the 2 years or even the year, but I also understand that the quality of the product is going to be good. And I would prefer a quality product than I would trying to rush the product, if that makes sense.
I get that. Can I ask you guys this? Because we all know that the rogue gallery that Batman has is the best. And in my opinion, that Spider-Man has the best for Marvel. If this show is successful, would you like to see Marvel try to take a venture into this of doing like a Spider-Man rogue? I know Sony owns it, but let's just throw that to a side for a minute. A Spider-Man rogue gallery, like shows of like all these separate characters.
Jake, you like to temper yourself in the worst moments. And here's why. Sony owns Spider-Man. Anything that is over 30 minutes in length, Sony owns. So unless you're doing a 30-minute Spider-Man live-action television series,
let's throw that aside.
no,
I said throw
because
away
I'm a
Sony
realist, you son of a bitch. And
Fuck
so
you,
here's
suck
what
my
I'm
dick.
going to say here is that Sony would fuck that shit up. I have watched that fucking vampire film with Jared Leto. It's fucking
I haven't watched
terrible. Okay, I
bad.
don't want anything to do with Sony shit. But Mitch, you're a realist too. Maybe you're a little bit of a comic book guy that you would prefer this more than I would. What's your opinion on that?
If Sony would stop trying to cash grab everything that has to do with the Spider-Man property and build on it like what WB is doing, and maybe WB will with HBO they'll get in Sony's head that way. And yes, I think if you had Spider-Man in the background as this just off the charts kind of character, he's always present, he's always there, have him swing through a scene or something once an episode, and you build multiple characters up that then just become the monsters that they become. Absolutely, you could do that with Spider-Man's rogues, man. You do a 6-episode build on the Sandman, on Kraven the Hunter, on Venom, any of them. Say a name, pick it. Do a 6-episode series, and you'd have gold. All of us would buy that up, man.
I was going to say, like, do you? So let's just go down that path. Are you happy with them I know because the Penguin was the Penguin from the Battinson universe. Would you want them to cross anybody over now that because we know Flash coming out, we know DC's like gonna change things up now that whole guns in there and change it. But would you like to see some crossovers of other characters that were from the DC universe in that film or in that show?
As far as what's already there, or do I get to pick a character that I want to see?
You get to, you can pick one, but like, let's just say Gal Gadot, right? Like, I know the rumors are there that she's still there. She might not be. We don't know what really the whole future of DC, but is there would you like to see, have this world sort of be in its own, like it already is, like it's its own venture, like it's the Batverse for Robert Pattinson?
Yeah,
or would
I think you could do a one-off like that. Like we got Batfleck in this movie for a few seconds, allegedly, and we've got Michael Keaton. I think the Battinson universe works better and the best by itself. I think that's all it should be. I don't want to bring other multiversal characters in, because then you start to water it down like you did with the Arrowverse on TV. I think if you're gonna build this world around what Matt Reeves is creating, you just gotta let him build that. We don't need the extra fluff in it, I don't think.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. I would, in the same way, Jake, that you don't like the whole lot of variants and stuff, I wouldn't want to variant this shit up. So I would say let's just keep it with the Battinson universe and go from there. Before we get into Ahsoka, let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll be right back. Sometimes people have a story to tell. It could be a story of triumph or a story of sorrow. However, it's their story. It's important to keep their story authentic, in their own words, and delivered in a delicate way. That's where Unfiltered Discussions podcast comes in. I'm Brian Howard. I talk with my guests about tough subjects and pivotal moments. I'd love for you to hear their stories. Subscribe to Unfiltered Discussions on your favorite podcast platform. Let's ensure their stories are heard. Bleach Bros Podcast is proud to align itself with Jerky Pro, a beef jerky manufacturer established by military and paramilitary veterans.
Available in 3-ounce or 1-pound bags with great flavors such as honey glazed, teriyaki, red hot, apple cinnamon, original, peppered, sweet barbecue, and if you're ballsy enough, nuclear.
Be sure to use our promo code to get some of the best jerky on the market. Use Bleach Bros 5, all lowercase, to take advantage of this offer today. All right, welcome back. We had some interesting conversation in the break that actually will probably release as a Bleach bit. So just be on the lookout for that, because
Bleach my bit.
Because Jake was trying to give fellatio to a screwdriver. Now, granted, we probably won't be able to share that, but it was rather interesting. I kind of feel like I was sexually harassed just watching it. So
Good.
anyway, so there's that. But speaking of sexual harassment, let's talk about some Ahsoka. I don't know I don't know how those two tie together, but I just
hold on. No, before we move, that was how does that? I want to know how you compared those two. Like, how did that relate in your brain?
You like Twi'leks, Jake.
Oh, well, that was going to be part of why it's my number one. Like you. Thanks, cat's out of the bag. I want to fuck a Twi'lek so bad.
I know you do.
That is the main. Dude, that is going to be like I can watch this show in enjoyment, and then I could watch this show in enjoyment, if you know what I mean. Like, there's sexual harassment. That's how you compare the two. See how I did that there, B-word? I could jerk off to the show and then also just watch the show and jerk off, or jerk off then watch the show, or jerk off after watching the show. Sexual harassment all over the place.
I'm happy with all of that. That certainly satisfies the sexual harassment need there. So, Mitch, let's shoot this one over to you. Ahsoka. First off, tell me this. So, we've seen Ahsoka in The Mandalorian. We've seen Ahsoka in Boba Fett. Did you watch any of the cartoons? I didn't watch any of the cartoons.
So I'm going to nerd out on you because I'm a Star Wars guy, and Ahsoka has a personal... I have a personal connection with why...
You're going to jerk off to it too, aren't you, Mitch?
Not even a little bit. But I got to ask you real quick before I do. Jake, are you under the impression that Ahsoka is a Twi'lek?
No, I know she's not a Twi'lek.
Oh,
No, I would. Okay, if I had to rank who I'm banging first, it's a Twi'lek first, then Ahsoka.
Oh, I got it. Okay, that makes more sense. To answer your question, yes, I am. I've watched Ahsoka grow as a character from her introduction in the Clone Wars movie, and then in the Clone Wars series, all the way through the Rebels series, and then now in the Mandoverse, Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and now her own show. So I'm very invested in that character, and I'm very excited for this series. This is my number one trailer.
So I loved the trailer. I don't have to deny it. I am not a huge animated property watcher, so I didn't watch Clone Wars. I didn't watch Rebels. I didn't watch any of that. The live action, I think it's perfect casting. I think that she's a great character. I really like what they're doing. It seems like Filoni exactly knows what he wants from this character, and I appreciate that from a directive standpoint. I look forward to this. I'm a huge fan of the Mandoverse, dude. I love everything about it. Not a huge fan of the Boba Fett thing until Mando showed up. And honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the Andor stuff either. Can't really get through it. That's just something that I've had some trouble with. But I love what they're doing with the character. What sort of predictions do you have with this, Mitch, as far as Ahsoka goes? Do you think this is going to kind of define her a little bit more in this universe? Do you think that it's going to take the character from point A to point B? What are your expectations?
So I'm going to answer all that, but I want to ask you real quick. You said Filoni knows what he's doing with this character. Do you know that he created her?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this is just going to be another stage in Ahsoka's journey. I think that's one of the great parts about this character is that at the end of almost everything she's been in, she's kind of on this. It's like an unturned page. You don't know where she is or what she's doing, but you do know that she's out there. And so that's why in the trailer, Sabine, who is that female Mandalorian, says it's been a while. It's because at the end of Rebels, she went off to do something, and now she is back. And I think seemingly what she was off doing was hanging out with Luke Skywalker, with Grogu. She was hunting whoever she was hunting in that first setup where she was asking where Thrawn was. She's been out very active in the galaxy. I have a couple of predictions with this show. One, probably one of the coolest kind of, I guess, theories out there right now is that when she's talking in the trailer, she's talking about the whispers of Thrawn's return as the heir to the Empire. There are a lot of people who believe that she's talking to Anakin Skywalker's Force Ghost, because Hayden Christensen's been he's been very active in filming a lot of things, Obi-Wan and a lot of cameos in these things. So there's a lot of filler in there that if you haven't seen the animated series, the different ones here and there, you're going to miss a lot of the world between worlds, the things that happen during Rebels that makes Ahsoka's journey to where she is right now very important. There's characters in that trailer, Harrison Dula, Chopper, Ezra Bridger, his little hologram there. I think this is going to be very much a continuation of Rebels, and then also a lot of deep diving into what Ahsoka is very capable of doing as someone who is not a Jedi.
All right, Jake, where are you at with this?
I'm super pumped, as I talked earlier, but no, in reality though, I used to think I was a Star Wars nerd. And the older I get, the more I realize I'm not as in depth in the universe as I thought I was. I'm more excited because I, like you, Bjorn, didn't watch the animated series. And the main reason was I can't stand the animation style. And that has turned me off of a lot of things. Like if I don't like the artistic nature behind it, I'm not going to watch it. So like I've never watched Samurai Jack, right? Just because I hate that stylization of how characters are drawn. I hate the stylization of Rebels and stuff. So I never got through it. So the main reason I'm excited is because I'm going to learn so much about this character I don't know. And it's almost like the one problem I've always had with Star Wars is, as Mitch said, a great point is you start with a New Hope, but everything's always about a fucking Skywalker. So when he made the comment that Anakin's going to be in, I'm like, God, why? Like, why can we sort of like, why do we always have to have a Skywalker in every damn thing? I understand parts of the reason behind it, but it would also just be a nice little fucking break just to give me some Ahsoka, let me see some Twi'leks, do your fucking thing, like have a great show and not just have to go down the fucking Vader path again.
I think that, and Mitch, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think that Ahsoka was Anakin's Padawan, so there's the relationship there that has to be at least acknowledged, if not addressed. And on top of that, it does kind of feel like it is the Uncle Ben or the Joker type style here. I'm the same thing as far as with Obi-Wan. Like I wanted Obi-Wan to be on a mission that did not involve Skywalker, and so I agree with you there, Jake. But Mitch, I'm going to throw this back to you, man. I'm sure you got some stuff to say on this.
Yeah. So when George Lucas wrote Star Wars, it was the Skywalker saga. So that's why it normally has to do with Skywalker. If you want something that doesn't have to do with a Skywalker, the Mandoverse Andor very much has nothing to do with Skywalkers in general. There's Ahsoka to Anakin is the same as Obi-Wan to Anakin. The three of them fought through the Clone Wars together. The three of them shared a bond. So, and that's where I think you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not at least picking through the good parts of the Clone Wars and Rebels, because there's a lot of storytelling in there, and I'm not a fan of the Rebels animated style. The Clone Wars is a little bit better, and it gets better through the seasons. But the storytelling behind the clones and those characters, and then all these different Jedi and Order 66, and how it really meshes along. And then post Rise of the Empire and during the events of New Hope and Empire Strikes Back and leading up to Return of the Jedi is all of that in Rebels. So if you just get into it for the storytelling, you get so much more in depth with these characters. But much the same as Obi-Wan's fight with Vader at the end of that series, there is a very similar battle between Ahsoka and Vader, and a very dark realization on Ahsoka's part that leads her to where she is now. So I think you get more out of it if you just go back and watch those little bits there. So
that's fair. So I know that we're going to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy. Just looking at the time, I think we do got to take one additional break. So let's take a real quick break, and we'll be right back. Tired of those pesky kids? Are you looking for an escape from the mundane? Introducing
Dad's on Dayquil,
the ultimate podcast for middle-aged men. Join the dynamic duo of Dome and Gnome as they embark on a midlife crisis like no other. With
Dad's on Dayquil.
you'll be transported to a world of questionable decisions and immature adventures.
Dad's on Dayquil.
Talks about everything from receding hairlines to beer bellies. And they even have a segment called
Fuck them kids.
Get ready for dad bod belly laughs, cringeworthy stories, and questionable life advice that you never asked for.
Dad's on Dayquil.
The podcast for the modern man who's not quite ready to grow up.
Warning, side effects may include uncontrollable laughter, impulsive purchases of barbecues and smokers, and a sudden urge to wear socks with sandals. Listen at your own risk.
Dad's on Dayquil.
Because who said middle age had to be boring?
Since there was 2 breaks like double penetration, welcome back to the Bleach Bros Podcast. Jake the haters, I think everybody left. I think whenever I say shit like this, either people have to mute their mics or things happen. No, so great talks with trailers, boys. In all seriousness, there's another trailer that's came out. I think something we've all been excited for, and we sort of are a little worried because I think we all know what's going to happen, but we're not prepared for it. Like, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3.
Yep. The beginning of the end.
What did you think of the trailer, first of all? And 2, where do we think we're going with this? B-word, let's start with you.
I enjoyed the trailer. I have some assumptions as to what's going to happen. We already know that Drax's character isn't coming back, so I imagine he's going to die. So let's just predict that right now. And also, with the way that the trailers are kind of talking about Rocket Raccoon and his backstory, and Guardians really does a great job of like having the dads kill the sons, or like having this dichotomy between the father and the son. And with the way that Rocket was made, and the High Evolutionary is his creator, more or less, I do think that Rocket is probably also going to die. At least that's what they're teasing it. So I could very well be wrong there, but those are my predictions, my assumptions. And it's already been confirmed that this is the last iteration of this Guardians of the Galaxy. So the Guardians aren't going away, but there will be a new team after this. So I think for me, I'm excited to see where this goes. I do like James Gunn. I do like what he's doing. I think that he has the forethought to be able to do this. I am kind of concerned with the team going forward because it's not going to be James Gunn's team. It more than likely, because he's the head of DC now. So this is going to end up being a new direction, a new story. But that's kind of where I'm at with it. Mitch, what about you?
I'm with you at this. I'm ready to see the Guardians of the Galaxy be something completely different because I'm kind of tired of this team. I'm glad to see Drax go. The character of Drax, his payoff for me was done in the first movie. He was supposed to kill Thanos, and he couldn't even kick Ronin's ass. Like, it was over. Like, that was it. There's no more real buy-in for me with this character, and he was just a one-liner for the rest of everything that he did. So I'm glad to see him go. I think the fake out is going to be that Rocket is dead, and he's going to stay, and I think Quill is gone. I don't think Quill's going to die, but there was a TV spot that was released today, and it was Gamora and Quill, and I feel like they're going to end up in a position where they go off to kind of reconnect in some way. Her being brought from the past to the future, and him having gone through losing her and everything else. I think there's going to be this thing where they get to go off or whatever. And I think that we're going to be left with some remnants of this team, and definitely some new people looking like they're going to join. But I also think it's going to open the door to a lot of new paths, because now we are dealing with the High Evolutionary, probably some more off the wall stuff we haven't seen yet, but we've known about, kind of like when Howard the Duck showed up. I think we're going to see that kind of thing.
You don't think that Quill's going to slap skins with the robot sister?
No, I think that, and because I'm glad to see James Gunn go away from this project now, because I think when someone holds on to it too long, they mess it up, and it's the same with Taika Waititi and Thor. Even Chris Hemsworth is like, hey, if I'm going to do Thor 4 or Thor 5 this time, like, it has to be a different director, because I'm tired of it being funny all the time now. So I think all the one-liners and the dumb jokes and the super bright colors and everything, I think all that goes away and we get a more serious, cosmic, darker team that's doing more badass shit.
I can't wait for Peter Quill to die. Because this team needs to be gone. Gamora already died, so I could give a shit if she dies again. Like, I mean, what? Okay, how's that a payoff? Like, if that happens in the movie, who fucking cares, right? Like, it'll be like the scene when Spider-Man got stabbed at when Tobey Maguire got stabbed. I stood up and yelled "Bye bye, Toby," and the whole theater hated me. Like that scene in The Office, "Bye bye, Toby." Like if Gamora dies again, nobody cares. Nobody cares. She already died once. We already cried for her once. You don't cry for her twice. Okay. 2, if the robot dies, she's a fucking droid. It's like killing C-3PO. I could give a shit. If the raccoon dies, I'm a little sad. Okay. If the tree dies again, you just fucking take his finger and plant it, and he comes back. Like, isn't that how Groot works?
That is how. Groot works.
And then Drax, I could care less. Like, because I agree with Mitch where his shine is worn off.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, it was fun. Like, I already told you, I already have a problem with Thor, where it's like every character they make dumber. Like every big muscular character in the MCU is essentially Homer Simpson. The further they get into the series, the dumber they get, because it just becomes about jokes rather than actuality of them. If they can't do the payoff for what they're supposed to do, like kill Thanos and get your ass kicked by Ronan, then you just tell dick jokes for the rest, right?
It kind of seems that way.
If Mantis dies, I'm sad the most, because I love me some Mantis. She's my favorite fucking character. I would hit that. I would love to hear the truth about everything. Like, okay, if you're an OnlyFans subscriber and you hear about those people, like, that pay for like a dick like rate or whatever, that's who you'd want to dick rate you, dude. Like, if every MCU character had an OnlyFans, I'm signing up for Mantis's and I'm paying her $5 to rate my dick right now. I'm just being honest.
Mitch is on mute right now and he's fucking dying.
What I want to say is that I'm over this team. I think it's going to be fun. I want to close out because we got the Christmas special, and I think everybody almost wants to forget about it.
That was perfect.
It was great, but here's the thing. That was almost enough Guardians for me to last me until like the next phase, and I'm like, oh, we're getting another one. Not that I don't want this now, and I sort of want to move on from it, and like let's go somewhere else in this universe. But I could be done with Guardians. Like, after this, I'm excited to see the film. I think the film's going to be great. I'm just saying that now. Like, I'm not trying to sit here and shit on it, and I'm having fun. But I mean, the trailer looks good. It looks like a fun movie. I don't think the payoffs are going to be everything that we want it to be, though.
I agree.
I think that Marvel's going to do that stupid thing, almost that cash grab thing, where they're not entirely sure to let it go. Like, they can't totally let it go yet. So I don't think it's going to fulfill everything that it need it to fulfill. Not want, need it to fulfill.
I agree. So, being that they're going to change the team, it's basically been said that the Guardians aren't going away, the team will remain, but that the teammates will be different. So, I want to ask you guys 2 different questions, or to give me 2 different lists. So, the first one is, realistically, who do you think is the new Guardians of the Galaxy lineup? And then the second question is that who do you want to see in Guardians of the Galaxy? So let's address the first question first. Jake, because you wanted to do this episode, give me who you think realistically is going to be in the new Guardians.
Rocket. I think we entered Adam Warlock, I think, is actually going to become part of it. Mantis stays alive, so her. I think Cosmo is going to become part of it, because they'll be there. If the little sea otter friend stays alive, it's there. I know that's a lot of animals. I don't think Groot's going anywhere. Like I said, plant a fucking finger. I think the robot bitch is still there, and I think Gamora's there. I think Quill and Drax are gone. I also think it just goes with that whole venture of like, we're really going to go full bore into the CGI characters, the cosmic characters. Like, I'll say it this way, and I want you guys to get into it. If I could do a dream fucking team, right? And this is of Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm going to introduce characters that have never been there. And so if I could do 5,
never been there,
Nova,
like never. Wait, hold on.
Like
never,
in the series,
like MCU, not comics.
Never
MCU.
been in the MCU.
Okay.
Yeah, they have not done any of these characters. Well, 2 they have, but not like to the effect we're at yet, right?
Okay.
and I'll ruin those two. Cosmo would be on the team, right? Because Cosmo's been introduced, and you got to have a talking animal. Scar would be the next one, and the reason is I would love to see a Cosmo Scar like team up where he's like, Cosmo's like his fucking therapy dog, like that helps calm him down when he needs to be, right? Then I would do Rom the Space Knight. I think it's a great fucking character. That's sort of like your Groot style character, right? Nova's your leader. We need to introduce Nova. And then Beta Ray Bill's your fucking angry
God damn
ass.
it, you took him
asshole.
off my list.
That's right on the side. That's like your Drax that comes in and kicks the shit out of everybody. I know I don't have a female character, but if you look at the cosmic universe.
You said Cosmo the dog, right? She's a bitch.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying like, an actual
and I say bitch just
animal.
I say bitch just based off of genetics, and female dogs are called bitches. For you people that want to cancel us, fuck out of here.
But that would be my dream team if I could build one and introduce all these characters to the MCU correctly. That's what I would make the Guardians Guy. I think it would be fucking fun.
All right, Mitch, tell me who realistically you think will be on the new Guardians team, and then tell me who you would like to see the Guardians team to encompass.
So at the end of Guardians 3, I'm certain that Quill and Gamora are gone. And I am certain that Drax is gone, so that leaves Mantis, Groot, Rocket, and Nebula. And I mean, more so too, just from the merchandising. Like you can see, the toys and everything that are still out, and what they're pushing is heavy Rocket and Groot. So I don't think they're going anywhere. And then Jake already basically threw my list out there, so I can't really, because I think this is the perfect time with where we are with not only Guardians, but with this Marvel's situation and the Eternals floating around out there. I really think Nova is coming out. The Skrulls, the Kree, all that stuff. And I say that because I think what they're going to do is the Nova Corps was there, sure, back in the first Guardians and all that. But I think that's how they're going to reintroduce Nova, is through that thing that happened with Ronan, and it's going to be a thing with the Guardians or whatever. So I would say Adam Warlock is going to be part of it. I would say Nova. This is the perfect time to introduce Beta Ray Bill into everything, because he's going to become Cosmic Thor. And I think you have a solid lineup right there with all of these real cosmic characters, which could lead us right into Silver Surfer. But I mean, that's hopes and dreams later on,
Hopes and dreams, thoughts and prayers out to Peter Quill. He's dying. I do think that that the new Guardians will have Kraglin on it. I do think that Kraglin will stay. I agree with you both. I think that Gamora's probably gone. Rocket and Groot are still there. Nebula's still there. Jake talked a lot about Mantis's OnlyFans, and candidly, the only thing that I was pretty disappointed in was that he didn't talk about holding onto the antennae while you're getting a BJ. So I would like to see that.
I'm a gentleman. I sit on my hands.
Well, look, that's fine.
And I figured, wouldn't she take do they make like a space style, like when
like
girls,
hair tie?
You get excited, like a hair tie for her little.
They might have a cosmic hair tie out there.
What if they tickle your balls?
Oh, wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great? Or like gives you like the reach around, like the whole.
I would ask her to do, how freaky I am. Like, those ones on a lawyer's desk, those balls where you pull it and it just keeps bouncing nonstop. Yeah. I would take one antennae and hit my right nut, and then hope it bounced through and go back and forth.
Except for you have really tiny nuts. You got the dick in the relationship.
That's all I need.
So
That's all
Mitch and I have grown man nuts, and so we could actually do that with Mantis. So there's that. Now, as far as who I think will be added to the team, I'm curious to see how much involvement Sylvester Stallone has in this, even if it's just for one additional movie. I'd be curious if he joined the team in his role as what is it, Stalker Ogard or whatever his name is. Separately, I do think that that Adam Warlock will end up being the leader of the team. However, I agree with you both. I absolutely want Beta Ray Bill on this team. I absolutely would love to see them introduce Nova. I wouldn't mind them introducing the Silver Surfer and then getting him onto the team. But separately, I mean, Captain Marvel's been a part of the team. You can also look at like Photon. If Photon after the Marvels, if she actually becomes like a decent character, she could be a part of the team. The one character that hasn't been mentioned yet is Bug. Bug from the Micronauts. And the reason why I don't think that Bug will ever happen is because Marvel doesn't own the rights to the Micronauts. Hasbro does. So that being the case, I don't think that we would ever see Bug. But I still think you can look at other characters like Quasar. You can look at other characters that just have that cosmic origin anyway. Victor Von Doom was part of Guardians at one point. So I do think that as you start to world build some of these characters, you can see a lot of interchangeability from the characters moving forward. But I don't know. I don't know how confident I'm going to be in Guardians going forward. I think it's going to be a good movie. I think it's going to be a good ending. But to me, I wouldn't be surprised if the ending's permanent, and not in a sense where I don't think that the Guardians won't come back. I think that they will, but I just think it's the end of a chapter. I kind of look at it as Endgame. I think that Marvel could have packed it all up after Endgame and they would have been fine. And I think that with the way that this movie will end, you could probably do it the same. They probably could pack it all up and they'd be fine.
Pack it into Mantis's mouth.
Wow.
Holding on to the
That's
antenna.
all I was thinking of. I'm sorry, B-Word. I was listening to you, but ever since that part of the conversation, I was like on my own little break mode, like in my brain, just having fun.
Now, back in the day when I didn't used to have a belly, okay? If a lady was giving me top, she'd look up at me with those big old bug eyes, and I'd look right down at her, right? We'd have this intimate moment.
Yeah.
Mantis has some killer eyes. My
They're
only
all black, though.
My only discrepancy here is that she would know more about my belly button than I would know about her eyes. And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate for my circumstances here.
See, I would just imagine that scene from Jaws when he's describing those black eyes, they roll in the back of her head when she's giving you head, and then she swallows you whole.
Well, with that, let's talk about Two Guys in the Dark.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mitch, we talked about it at the beginning of the episode. Thanks again for coming on to our podcast here, the Bleach Bros Podcast. As you know, you're welcome anytime. But I want to end this as far as talking about some Two Guys in the Dark. So how often are you guys recording? And what can we expect from Two Guys in the Dark going forward?
We are recording weekly. This is actually the first week where we've kind of taken a 2-week break with some vacations and stuff. So, but every week we're putting out new content, new episodes. Here coming pretty soon, you can start expecting a little bit more of our in-depth conversations about some topics. We've been doing some more research around some events and different things that really interest us. So a lot of like our Waco episode or our episode where we covered Kai the Hitchhiker. And then right now we're lining up a few guests. We've got some interesting perspectives, I think, being men of a certain age, and we've got some colleagues and some friends who are in certain fields that deal with a lot of things that kind of like we go through, and it is interesting to talk to them, candidly behind the scenes, and getting them to come on and talk to us so that we can give them kind of like a platform to kind of help others through some of this stuff, I think is going to be really great. So some more in-depth conversations and some guests coming on with some great topics. So those are in the weeks to come for sure.
Well, I love like I said at the beginning, I love what you guys are putting out. I talk with you guys behind the scenes, just keep putting it out. The content is progressively getting better. I'm really starting to enjoy some of the things that you guys are doing over there. For everybody who follows Bleach Bros, make sure that you go check out Two Guys in the Dark. You can follow them on social media. Make sure to check out their link tree. It's linktr.ee/Two Guys in the Dark, all one word. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. All
right, so make sure to check them out. Also, go to bleachbros.com. Make sure to actually check them out on the Friends of the Show page. And yeah, it's been good having you on here, buddy. So with that, Jake, you got anything else to add, or are you just going to tell us all to fuck off?
Nope. Thanks for all the dirty talk. Go back and get sanitized.